CageZilla 82, Brent Hess, CageZilla Unchained, 3, 2.
What's up, everyone? Brent Hess here with CageZilla Unchained, brought to you by the Wild Style Network. We have a special treat in-house today. Coach of fighter Lucas Martino, who's going to be on our upcoming CageZilla card, CageZilla 82 on December 14th. We're joined here by Ryan Hall, a UFC fighter, a UFC Fighting Season 22 winner, a multiple-time BJJ champion, a true wizard of the martial arts game, and someone that I'm honored to call a friend. Ryan, thanks for joining us today. I appreciate you taking some time to do this. How you doing today?
Doing great, Brent. Great to talk to you, man. It's glad to be here. Thank you so much for having me on.
Yeah, brother. Yeah, thank you. And a lot of different topics to kind of touch on. Obviously, we're going to get to Lucas and his upcoming bout. But for those who have been living under a rock for the past decade or so, give us a little bit of background on yourself, your journey, and kind of a little bit of your martial arts journey and kind of what led up to this point for you.
Well, my name is Ryan Hall. I was born in Northern Virginia, and I started training martial arts in 2004 up in New York City when I was there for college. Kind of been here and there, started in jiu-jitsu and a little bit of Thai boxing, but spent a lot of years doing jiu-jitsu kind of full-time, bumming around, living on floors and couches for a long time, competed in ADG a couple of times, managed to get a medal there. In 2012, I moved to MMA, and after a couple years on the regional, I was fortunately able to make it onto the Ultimate Fighter, which in 2015 I was able to win the McGregor versus Faber USA versus Europe season.
Yeah, I remember that. That was awesome.
That was fun. It was like being in Belgian prison. It's like it's very nice, but you can't leave. Like, but anyway, it's been in the UFC since 2015, and I've been fighting there. Got 5 wins and 1 loss in the UFC, and looking forward to getting back in again soon. And just been kind of dealing with some injuries, but fortunately been able to be around training, helping out buddies, Ton Lee, Corey Sandhagen, yourself, and now Lucas Martino getting in there for CageZilla. And we're just excited to be back in there, and I'm excited to be out there able to support him.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, and I had the pleasure to help you and work with you on a couple of your fight camps, and really was an honor. We've had some good martial arts conversations over the years, but for our audience here, give us. I kind of have a 2-part question, and I'll kind of break it down in 2 parts. For a young up and coming athlete, maybe somebody who's had 1 or 2 fights, what position in BJJ would you kind of recommend for them to kind of start to master or start to grasp first, being a BJJ wizard yourself, and maybe throw in a submission that they should have?
I guess, well, there's a lot of different ways I guess you could take directions you could kind of go with that. But I would say if I was starting in jiu-jitsu again, I think the thing that I would focus on again would be close guard. If I was just getting started, because it's something very manageable. It's not as techy. It's not as million variations as some of the other stuff can be, which can be, at least for me, a little bit overwhelming sometimes. And I would try to figure out how to limit the game in such a way that it allows me to learn one thing really, really sharply and kind of go on from there. That's actually what I did in the beginning, and I felt like it made a big difference. It helped me make something complicated a little less complicated for me. So over the course of time, it's a position that's really powerful and has kind of taught a lot of lessons to me. And I would say a lot of the great grapplers in jiu-jitsu history and MMA, they kind of follow that Gracie jiu-jitsu game plan, at least in the initial. And I think that builds a really solid foundation, because the close guard fits with the mount and the back, which are the classic positions on the ground. Not the only ones, obviously, but those are the closed positions, or some of them. And I would start there. For fighting, I would say, as a jiu-jitsu guy, being really, really, really adept on the back is a big one. The ability to find it, the ability to control it, and the ability to finish from there. And the rear naked choke being your number 1 go-to finish, is always a fantastic thing. That is the classic finish in jiu-jitsu. It's the most powerful and reliable movement in martial arts. If Mike Tyson punches me in the head in his prime, I'd say 99.9% chance I wake up, 3 weeks later. But there is a chance that it doesn't KO me. Whereas if you put me in a rear naked choke, it's pretty much a wrap. And it's an interesting thing how reliable that is. So, I mean, obviously other things can be great too. Guillotines as well as one of those highly available movements. But I would just say like the classic positions of close guard and then being phenomenal on the back, control and finishing, I would say would be very, very big. And if you just look at Damian Maya, you know, some of the best guys from jiu-jitsu in mixed martial arts, you see quite a lot of that.
Yeah, yeah. Finding that kind of like prime real estate on somebody's back is probably crucial to ending a fight, and that's ultimately what happens when you find the back. That's great.
Keeping you safe too, right? Keeping you safe as well. Yeah,
exactly.
Fighting's all fun and games when people aren't hitting you constantly. When you're getting hit constantly, it's a journey.
Right. Yeah. I always kind of tell folks too, like when you get on somebody's back, you can do a lot of things to them that they can't do to you. You know, like
that's the essence of good martial arts, right? I mean, whether you're striking in the open or anything, it's you're the one doing the hitting, not me, right?
Right. Right, exactly. Hit and don't get hit. That's the objective. Now, I guess the second part to this question is kind of like on a broader spectrum. What kind of advice, what kind of encouragement would you give to young up and coming CageZilla athletes or any MMA young athletes that that want to rise the ranks and kind of aspire to be what you have done and make it to the UFC?
Well, I would say the people that I've looked up to have said these things to me, and it's always made the difference. I would say train harder and more than everyone and be coachable long term. And I think that that's one of those things that can be challenging because there's so many, there's so much distraction out there if you're not careful, whether it's internet stuff or other things. And it's easy to start to feel like you've made it or you're something well before you have. And then even if you've made it, the second you start going, I've made it, I've done it, that's probably the beginning of the end for you. And at least the people that I've seen that have been able to be successful long term, they maintain their focus and they maintain their drive and they maintain their humility, which doesn't mean that they don't believe in themselves and doesn't mean that they're going to just roll over for everybody and do everything that everybody else says. But it definitely means that they are open to criticism, that they're open to learning, and it doesn't turn into the you can't tell me what to do, you can't talk to me, I'm good now. Because I've reached a lot of different points in my career. I'm like, oh, I'm pretty decent now. And then you look back and I'm like, oh, I was a beginner. Yeah. And I've definitely been a jackass before. But confidence and arrogance, there are fine lines sometimes. You need to believe in yourself and you need to push forward. But at the same time, being able to maintain that trust in your coaching and that trust in your team is huge. And what I would say is you find the right coach and you listen to what he or she says and you do your absolute best to stick with them. And sometimes they're going to deliver news you don't like. And a lot of times they're going to deliver news that is different than the other people around you are delivering. But you got to figure out who you trust. And if you trust them, like, don't come to me and ask me to coach you and then don't do what I say. If you don't want to do what I say, that's fine. But then take it somewhere else. So what I would say is I feel really fortunate to have learned from Greg Jackson, Faraz Zahabi, Kenny Florian, Paul Schreiner, Marcelo Garcia. I mean, not just people. We've heard of plenty of people who haven't as well that are just amazing. And, I've been blessed and fortunate that they took the time out of their day to help me because as an athlete, particularly on the come up, you are not paying your coach almost at all. They are there to help you, and it's not their responsibility to help you. They're basically doing charity a lot of times. Like I don't get paid to corner Lucas. I corner Lucas because that's my friend, and I respect him, and I want to see him do well and how hard he works, and he's earned it in that regard. But it's one where, I think that that's an interesting thing on the come up. Even in the UFC, I don't get paid, $5 million per fight and then pay my coaches $200,000 per fight. So if I'm annoying to work with, they're probably going to go find somebody else to talk to. So I would just say, just pay attention, work hard, be respectful. And a lot of times those words don't mean what people think they mean.
Right. Yeah, no, and that's great advice. And I try to keep that mentality as well. And I know that's something I really respect about you as well as, even, after our sparring matches and stuff, you are a top level UFC fighter and multiple time BJJ champion, black belt, but you still sit down with me. And if I have things to explain to you, that you're an open book, man, and you're listening and you're really kind of tuned into what I'm trying to convey to you. And that mentality, I think, is super, super important and a great insight into kind of giving some young athletes, some advice. That's awesome. Now, I know moving into Lucas, I know you have some high hopes for him, coming into December 14th on CageZilla 82. Tell us a little bit about him and maybe your experience training him and training with him, and tell us a little bit about that.
Well, so Lucas Martino is a fighter for 50-50 martial arts. We actually met in 2021 when I was out preparing for a fight with Darrett Minner in Northern California at a place called the Resistance. When I was training with one of my friends and Lucas's old coach and one of my coaches, a guy called Darren Waniyama. He was an old House Gracie black belt, and he fought in UFC and Risen and Dream as well, and I think Risen. But anyway, it was long and short of it is Lucas and I started out as training partners and buddies, and it was he helped me a great deal for that fight. I went into that fight with Derek with a lot of injuries, other things going on, and I didn't have the ability to move the way that I wanted to protect myself and utilize distance the way that I usually try to. And Lucas spent months helping me learn how to utilize a better guard, like a tie shell, understanding how to protect myself from punches while still in range, which was something I just didn't have as much experience with at that time because I'd basically gone a different direction as a striker up until that point. And we became friends then. He made a really, really big difference for me. I really respected how hard he worked, and also I appreciated so much that he was willing to take his time to help someone that really, wasn't. He didn't need to do that, and I really appreciated that a lot as a friend and a fellow martial artist. And when his training situation ended up being a little bit difficult at a certain point, and he and I kept up over the course of time. We would go back and forth. He would come out and train and help, and we'd kind of keep at it a little bit. But he really wanted to pursue MMA because he's also a professional Thai boxer. He wanted to pursue MMA, and I said, hey, if you ever need help, just give me a yell, because I take really seriously the fact that he looked out for me when I needed it. And really fortunate that he was interested at a certain point and really kind of going for it and willing to give us the trust to train out of 50-50. Gave it a shot, moved all the way out. And it's just been fantastic having him here since. His grappling is really coming along. He's helping me with striking. His striking is coming along in different ways as well. And it's just, he's a great guy, tough dude. And it's just a real pleasure to have him as a part of our team.
That's awesome. Yeah, he seemed like a very focused young man, and he talked about how he's kind of pushing all his chips in the middle, moving out to Virginia and risking it all, but he didn't want to have any what ifs, and kind of going with you and kind of rounding off his game, I think was the best thing that he could have done. Certainly, I'm excited to see him. What an exciting upcoming lightweight pro bout here coming up on CageZilla 82. Will you be in house December 14th?
I would not miss it. I'm excited. I've always loved going to CageZilla. You guys run a fantastic show. I'm really excited to get more of our guys in there more often. But for this one, in December, just excited to be out there supporting Lucas. I know he's going to put on a great performance and fight with everything he's got. We can never promise a win, but win, lose, or draw. You're going to go out there. You're going to put it on the line, fight with respect for your opponent, fight with grit. And, when you do that sort of thing, a lot of times it goes your way. And I'm excited to be out there supporting Lucas, supporting the show, man. Thank you.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, we're excited to have you, and I'm sure everyone's gonna wanna see you, take some photos with you. But before we leave here, everyone loves to see the wizard in action. We want to know, man. Tell us what do you got coming up? What's on the horizon for you, Ryan Hall?
Oh, thanks for asking, Brent. It's for me, I'm looking forward to being back in early 2025. Man, it's been a freaking journey. Got had a lot of injuries going into my last couple fights. Just kind of got unlucky. Got fallen on a couple times, like in training. Just oopses, torn ACL, torn hip, torn ankle ligament, and it's just been kind of a bit of a barrage of stuff that I've been sorting out. But I'll be looking forward to get back in either at 135 or 145 in early 2025. Maybe like March, April-ish. Realistically, I'm rehabbing a shoulder surgery that was a long time coming, and feeling a lot better. So it's just looking forward to getting back in there. But it's one of those ones where I fought my last couple fights against Minner and Taporia, really pretty diminished physically. And I'd like to have that not be the case for this one, because, it's serious business in there, man. And these guys that are going to go out there, on the show and on the 14th, they're putting their health on the line. This is a serious game. And that's the same kind of thing, when it comes to those athletes trusting their coaches. You got to trust yourself, and you got to trust the people that are standing there behind you, that are getting you ready and also giving you advice. We've had one of our other guys, Kaushik Sycamore, fight for CageZilla as well. And, it's kind of the same thing, man. And over the course of time, you build that trust with your friends and your coaches and your training partners. I trust you. You've given me advice and great training. And I know that when we spar, I'm ready for a fight. And it's awesome. And that's the sort of thing that we want to be able to bring, into the ring. And I would just say those, my coaches have said, hey man, make sure you're doing it right and be ready when you get back out there. So I'm going to make sure that I'm physically and mentally 100% or as close to it as we possibly can, because I don't know how many we got left, but I want to fight the best.
Yes, no, that's awesome, brother, and I can't wait to be back helping you again, and you let me know. You got my number for sure, you know that, and of course I've been watching K-Shik come up and do some awesome stuff as well. So congrats to him and his journey, and certainly we're looking forward to seeing Lucas coming up on December 14th. Before we leave here, give us a little quote, a motto, maybe something that the wizard has been thinking of, or maybe something you share with your students, something that's been shared with you, maybe that something empowering that you can possibly help our audience and maybe empower them.
Well, I guess what I would say is, like any good idea I've ever had, I ripped it off from somewhere else. And so we've got a quote on the wall that written on the wall at the gym that I really like. There's actually, there's two of them, but one is, it's from Jack Dempsey, and it's that a champion gets up when he can't. And then on top of that, you have the Teddy Roosevelt classic one. It's not the critic that counts. It's not one who points out where the strong man stumbles, where the doer deed could have done him better. The credit belongs to the man that's actually in the arena, strives, blood, sweat, tears, who comes up short again and again, because there's no effort without shortcoming. But he actually knows what it's like to strive and to push. And even in the end, if it doesn't work out, you know that you had it in you to play with all of your chips and to push forward with everything, which takes courage that, very few people have. And if it works out in the obvious sense, fantastic. If it doesn't, existentially, it still worked out. And I'll say one last one just to keep on coming, because these things, I think it was a George Foreman quote. And I think he said, I'm a champion every single time that I get in there, because I've never seen steps up to the ring that are strong enough to hold the weight of a coward. And it's like it takes to go and do those things. And it's every single person that gets in there, on the 14th is deserving of respect. And remembering that for each of us as we train every single day and as we push forward is important. I think those are the kind of ideas that have kind of helped keep me pushing in the right direction over time. And, you don't always do it perfectly, but you strive to do it right. And I'm looking forward to seeing Lucas out there, and I'm looking forward to seeing the other guys out there that are fighting that night, pushing forward towards their dreams.
That's awesome, man. And I think all those quotes are powerful and very mindful, and all kind of tie into each other. So in one way or another, and that's awesome. The champion is somebody who gets up when they can. I love that. I love that one too, man. I remember seeing those at your 50/50 gym on the walls, and they resonate with me for sure. Well, hey, tell everyone, I know you have some awesome tutorials. I know you're doing a Black Friday sale. Tell us a little bit about your tutorials, because I follow them. I've watched them. They're freaking awesome. And maybe tell us a little bit about them. Maybe some of the categories people can kind of study there. How they can get a hold of those tutorials online, and maybe show you a little love online as well. Whether that be your socials or your gym socials or whatnot. Yeah.
I'm not great with social media, but I'm on Instagram, and it's Ryan Hall 5050. So we have this online platform called Ryan Hall Online. It's a little weird to name something directly after yourself, but I guess why not, for marketing purposes. But yeah, man. So we try to do jiu-jitsu information for fighting and grappling, and there's a lot of good stuff out there, and there's a lot of techniques. But at least for me, I was trying to cut through the noise to the best I can and figure out like why things are functioning and how they work. And so I'm able to do my best to build a game that works for me. And no differently than many of the things you've taught me work directly the way they work for you. And other things you taught me, it works like you've had to adjust how they work in order to fit them for my game. And that's no different than any other thing, in martial arts. And, so sometimes it's direct specific technique, but a lot of times it's ideas. It's the principles that guide the game and the things that allow the movements to work. So we've got, we try to focus on that sort of thing so that people are able to form fit what we're doing to their own body and their own needs, as a competitor or as a practitioner. And, we've got other stuff out there, like when it comes to back attacks, 50/50, half guard, trying to give people ideas and just, create an opportunity for people to learn in a way that might be a little bit different than normal, and I hope is helpful. But yeah, those things are out there online, and you can find them through my social media, or you can find them at ryanhallonline.com. Check them out. I think we're running like a 50% off sale right now. So it's a pretty good time to give it a crack if you've never done it. And if it sucks, you can find me on social media and yell at me. But if you like it, you can find me on social media and not tell me or say something nice. But either way, that's where they are. And I really hope that people find some value in that, because I've been putting instructional information out for a long time. And you never know if it's working or not, but you hope that people find some value the way that I've been able to learn from others.
Yeah, no, they're awesome, man. The way you explain the techniques and you kind of keep it real, you know, you don't try to sugarcoat things. You'd say, hey, this works, this doesn't work. You even add a little comedic value in there sometimes. So, man, I honestly, I really enjoy your tutorials. I hope people can pick up on them and pick up on the Black Friday sale here coming up soon. So, once again, thank you for joining us here on the episode here of CageZilla Unchained. I really appreciate you taking a little time out. I know you're a busy man, and we look forward to seeing you on December 14th here in Lucas Martino's corner for CageZilla 82.
Thanks, brother. It's really been a pleasure. I really appreciate you guys having me on, and thanks for having Lucas on the event as well.
All right. Once again, guys, Brent Hess here, signing off. Make sure you guys are picking up your tickets, CageZilla.com for CageZilla 82, December 14th. Until next time, we'll see you guys very soon. Much love and respect. We'll see you guys.